Western Australia, and myself, we went away on a journey for 2 weeks. Our travels took us from Broome in Western Australia to Perth, to Hong Kong, to Tokyo, then to a small fishing village in Japan called Taiji. And basically this work is a documentation of our travels. Yes, that means you are here to watch 350 of my holiday snaps. But something very, very special happened during our 2 weeks away, something very, very important. And this is why I'm here today to share this work with you. Lucy not only discovered that she had a Japanese biological father, but she actually met him on, he was bedridden, but she was able to meet him before she came back. And it's a story about Indigenous multiculturalism. It is a story about the connection between Australia and Asia. And I think that's why it's very fitting to have this work as part of the MiFA opening show. And I'm very pleased that I'm able to share that.
In the 1930s, and Afandi and other painters were one of the main, pioneers who actually contributed to the birth of the style of Indonesian art. That's what we call it. So before the 1930s, most paintings in Indonesia were dominated by, Western landscape paintings, very idealized and romanticized images of Indonesia. And Afandi and a few other painters chose to adopt a different style. He believed that painting should reflect what Indonesia was all about. So he depicted scenes of their everyday lives,
every brush symbolizing an artist, and literally hanging by a thread, and then the red and gold for good luck. So for all of us, actually, for all artists. So it's very simple. It's like a visual haiku, really. So
maybe they reflect perhaps the artist's ideas about making sense of his reality today in a fast-moving, globalized, rapidly changing Vietnam. There's an interesting, they're essentially about ancient proverbs.
So before I was still the artist with the color, bird and flower scenery in color, Chinese watercolor, and then I completely changed the black and white, because in that time I learned the Zen philosophy then. So I want to express my inner thought, inner experience in the Zen look, in the Zen way of concept of Zen to look at life, to consider about life. We got some experience, some thought, some sort of thinking. So I will express in my artwork.
I grew up in Britain and now live in Australia. But my mother was born in Sri Lanka to a British father, and he was a tea planter, and he died in Sri Lanka in 1937. And none of the family, extended family, had been back to Sri Lanka since 1937. I started making work about my mother's connection to Sri Lanka in about 2003, and went to Sri Lanka in 2005, and had the most extraordinary experience and a very emotional experience, because I feel I have no connection to any history with people in Australia, but to go to Sri Lanka and find this huge connection both with my mother's immediate family.
And I did early last year, and the title of the work is called Who's the Chinese Lady That Picks You Up from School? Somewhat humorous, but something that actually happened to me when I was at school. No one really could understand who the Chinese lady was that picked me up, and I would indignantly say my mother or my mum, which would bring on a whole lot of other questions, as in I didn't know you were Chinese, and so kind of musing on that and a reaction to that, and the constant questioning of being asked where are you from, or where, what's your heritage. This work evolved